All right, everybody. Welcome to the ReConnect launch event. We are very excited to be here with you today. This has been a very long time coming for our team who's been working on this for months. And like we've been saying, this event and this program is designed to bring our online community to life in new ways. And so we're excited to dive in to that and tell you all about it. So I'm Casey. I'm the Director of Community here at EE. And here with me today, I have Mason Brown, our Community Growth Manager, and David Draper, our Community EE Community Manager. So we're going to get right into it. Let's see here. We are having some technical difficulties. All right. So as we get started, a couple of housekeeping type things. First of all, on the left here, let everybody know that you are attending the ReConnect event. Follow the QR code at the bottom of the screen or go to the web URL right there. You can either right click and save the image, or you can long click and save the image if you're on mobile. But make sure to share it on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and make sure to tag us and let everybody know that you're attending the ReConnect launch event. Okay, so also on the right here, we have two different functions in Zoom here. As an attendee, you have a chat feature as well as a Q&A feature. So I do see the chat going. I can't look at it, but make sure you say hello, introduce yourself in the chat, and you can use that throughout the event to interact with one another. And then in the Q&A feature, make sure you put any questions that you might want us to actually answer at the end of the event in Q&A. So we will have a little Q&A open discussion towards the end, and we will be pulling those from Q&A, not from the chat, because the chat tends to get a little bit full and it's difficult for us to kind of filter through that. So looks like both of those features are working for everybody. All right, so what are we going to do today at the ReConnect launch event? A little bit of agenda here. We are finally going to find out what ReConnect is. We've been teasing it for a few months now. So if you have been kind of listening to podcasts, watching social media, you've probably seen a little bit about what's going on, but we are super excited to finally let you guys know officially and launch the event. So we'll get right into that. We're going to have a member panel because we have launched a pilot program with ReConnect. And so we're going to hear from some of those members, Rodney, Robert, and Chris, about their experience and how they kind of helped us develop this program and helped us learn a lot about how we can make this a successful program. And then we'll move into exactly how you all as members or potential EE members, I know we have some of those people on the call today as well, exactly how you can get involved in ReConnect. We have a Q&A, and then we have a raffle at the end, as always. It is a big raffle. Don't skip out on us early if you want to see the big raffle reveal at the end. And then, as always, we'll kind of see what's coming up next in the community. So I think we're ready to jump right into it. All right, people, we've waited long enough. What is ReConnect? How are we bringing our online community to life? What exactly is this looking like? So Mason, we've teased at it. We've hinted at it. Mason's going to kind of talk to us about what it is. So yeah, Mace, how are we bringing our online community to life? What does that mean?
Well, if you've been paying attention by listening to our podcast, keeping up with our social media, you may have an idea, but hopefully there's still a little bit of a surprise in there for you guys. So what is it? ReConnect is our new program for live events. So EE's new live events in-person program, that is what ReConnect is. And you may be asking yourself, okay, what does that mean? Does that mean you guys are going to host events? It does, but there's a lot of things that it means. So there's actually three pillars of what we're calling ReConnect. There's three different types of ReConnect events. First, we have sponsorships, and this is what you may be a little bit more familiar with if you have paid attention to our podcast or our social media. And what we're doing is this year in 2023, we're sponsoring 16 members on EE to attend tech conferences around the world. So we're going to partner with them. They're going to be representatives of the EE community at these different tech conferences, the big ones, the medium-sized ones. We want to get the EE community out in person in the in-person community. So at these live events where people are interacting, the energy is high. We want representatives of EE there. So we're going to sponsor 16 members. We'd love to send everybody, but 16 of you will be chosen as representatives. We'll get into how to do that later, but that is the long and short of it. We're sponsoring 16 different people to go to tech conferences this year. So that's not the only thing we're doing, meetups. So this is really exciting to me personally. So obviously we can't sponsor everybody to go to a conference, but we want to connect with everybody that's a part of the community out at these different events. So for a couple of these sponsorships, representatives, they will be at these larger conferences hosting with EE in partnership with EE meetups. And David's going to talk to us a little bit about what those are later on. But we will be doing those at the event spaces, sort of in and around the event spaces. So say you're at RSA out west. I'm pretty sure that's in San Francisco. So there will possibly be some sort of meetup in the general area, maybe at a bar or a restaurant in the area. And those are meant to just be for EE members to come together, meet each other, hang out, kind of relax from all of the nitty-gritty details you've gotten involved with at the conference during the day. Just a place for us to relax and actually connect with each other, because that's what we've discovered is one of our favorite things to do when we actually get to sit down and discuss what it's like being on EE, but actually in person, just meet each other, connect as people. That's really what this is about. And that's what those meetups are about. So that's number 2. And then we have live events, number 3. For those of you who have been around for a while on EE, you may have come to or maybe remember being part of Core Conference way back in the day. So I know we announced Rebirth earlier this year that Core Conference is coming back. We just want to reiterate that here. Core Conference will happen this year in October 2023. Not in this calendar year, within the next year. October 2023 is when Core Conference will happen. And then we're also exploring other live events, but that is the 3-pronged pillars through the three pillars of what ReConnect is. So meetups, sponsorships, and live events. And then our pilot program, as you can see, that's a photo from our pilot program. Our presentation pilot kind of jumped the gun right there, but that's what those were. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. I think this is something that's been in the works for us for, I don't know how long, Casey, like 6 months at least we've been talking about this. So it's exciting to get this like out in front of you guys for sure. We're telling you about what this is. And I really think you guys are going to enjoy it.
David, from your perspective as community manager, Mason's kind of talking to the what, and for everybody who's joining today, we are going to get into more specifics of how exactly you can get involved, how you can be sponsored, how you can attend meetups. So David, speak a little bit to us about the why, so to speak. Why did we develop this program over the last year? Why, from your perspective as a community manager, because you see engagement and interaction every day amongst our members. Why is it important that we kind of bring this to life and create more in-person events programming as opposed to only online?
Yeah, so I mean, at the beginning of the year, we started with our whole Rebirth launch, which our recommitment to our community and to empowering and expanding and growing our community in a number of different ways. Obviously, the platform updates have been a part of that, and new programs on the platform have been a part of that. But we wanted to go a step further and also look at ways that we can help people find more opportunities to meet, in person, get to know each other beyond the usernames and beyond the Q&A and the problem solving, and actually get some face time to connect and grow. We also wanted to look for some places where we can continue to help people expand and grow in their career. And technology conferences are one of the best places to do that. You get to network with all sorts of new people. You get to hear interesting speakers and learn new things. So we figured it'd be a good place to start. So that was really the core of why we got started. And as we started to, really expand on the idea, and we went through the pilot program and we started to test some of the different things that we were interested in, we definitely knew that, one, it was the sort of program that would be valuable to you guys, and that would be useful for the goals of members individually and of EE as a community as a whole. Just creating more opportunities to get to know each other better, to connect on, a more personal level, and to just broaden your opportunities.
Yeah, well said. And I mean, you speak to kind of like the value of being able to connect in person and getting away from just the online usernames and solving problems. And I know from my experience in my few years here, the opportunities that we have had to either host small meetups or events, or just kind of, Rebirth, get to meet some of our even moderators in person. Those have been some of the most like impactful, significant experiences within the community for me. And so we're really excited to kind of make that more of an official, like, ongoing program that you can expect to be a part of your membership year on year. So yeah, we're gonna kind of, as I move into this member panel, we are gonna pull them up from backstage, as we like to call it. And so as we're kind of transitioning here, getting the slides in place, Mason, kind of tell everybody really where ReConnect began. It's kind of a fun story back at the beginning of the year at one of our in-person meetups. And then, speak a little bit to these members who are about to come up, what that pilot program looked like. Some of these pictures here are from those guys during those events.
Yeah, sure. First of all, the Zoom events backstage thing is so cool, by the way. Everybody's just hanging out back there. It's where the cool kids are. Anyway, you guys, they'll be here in a second. Pull them up. But the pilot program was awesome. And I think what it did was it really showed us, like David said earlier, it showed us that, oh, wow, this is something could be really valuable for not only for us, but for the community. And I think it started, you see that photo in the middle, great photographer behind the camera, by the way, not to brag. But that's Robert, who you'll meet in a second, with you and Randy, our CEO and owner. And I think what ReConnect really is it's the child of that conversation that we had with Robert, right? Like, we had that conversation with Robert and we got to know him. We never would have talked to him in the community. He sort of wasn't as involved as some of our other members, wasn't as visible. And he showed up at the Chicago meetup about 6 months ago, right? And we got the chance to connect with him, and he told us about how he was planning on attending that conference in Wisconsin, I think, and how it really was just important for him to get out and attend these sort of meetups and connect with people in person, because he was sitting at home or behind his computer all day. So I think that really showcased to us that, wow, there is a need for us to connect with our members out in the community, because it's like, we left that meetup thinking, wow, we made a new friend, right? And if we can go and make new friends because of EE, that's awesome. So we decided to go forward with this pilot program. Chris, who you see up there on the left with the black hat, was at Black Hat Conference in Las Vegas. And then Rodney, who you'll meet in a second, was at VMware Explore. You may have seen them on our social media accounts when they were at their conferences, and here they are right now. And I want to give them kudos. They did an awesome job creating content with us. They were taking all these videos, great photos right there. I love Rodney's photo. I think his friend had the idea for that, if you listen to our podcast. But yeah, they did a great job, and it was awesome to work with all of you guys to go to the pilot program. And now we've got 3 people that we really feel like we have a connection with. And you kind of grown in the community since then. So the pilot program was really cool, and we're glad to extend that now onto the whole community. So welcome, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you.
Welcome from backstage, where Mason says cheese boards and champagne.
It was solid.
You guys enjoyed that complimentary cheese board. So hi, welcome. I know we've all been talking a lot over the past few months, so we're really excited to kind of like actually launch this and let you guys talk to everybody about it. So let's just kind of start with some quick introductions, your name, where you're from, what you do for a living, and then maybe something fun that you do outside of work. And we'll go ahead and start with you, Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Hippensteel. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm a networks and systems administrator for a company called New Resources Consulting. Something fun about me is outside of work, I like to build and fix custom motorcycles.
There you go. We'll go to you, Rodney.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rodney Barnhart. I'm a server administrator at Charlotte Pipe and Foundry in Charlotte, North Carolina. Outside of work, I do a lot of gardening and wood crafts, like building cabinets and stuff.
Awesome. Last but not least, Robert.
Hey guys, I'm Rob. I'm from Chicago. I work for Paramount as a application developer and application manager. I love to ride roller coasters all over the world.
All over the world. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. We'll get right into it. We just kind of want to give people an idea of your experience from the ReConnect or the pilot program, and just kind of generally like your thoughts and thoughts around conferences and in-person events. So we'll start with you, Rodney. For you personally, and kind of just like in general for technology professionals, why would you say it's important to attend conferences? Like, what's the significance of conferences to you?
Well, particularly in person, I think you get a lot better interaction with other people. I get distracted easily on the virtual stuff, so I try to multitask. And at the conferences, you get a lot of sidebar conversations. You may sit down at a meal at the table and start talking with somebody else, learn about their projects. They may have a problem or a project you have coming up, and they've tackled it, and you can get advice from them. Even at some of the events within the conference, you run into people and you meet people all the time. There's also a lot of great information that comes out of them. They have announcements. You know, when I was at VMware Explorer, we had the announcements about vSphere 8 and vSAN 8 and Project Aria and all these great technologies coming up. So it was great to hear about all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember you were telling us how you're more of a hands-on learner. Chris was saying the same thing. So how many conferences, Rodney, do you attend in a year typically, or do you like to attend in a year?
It depends, because we have some local smaller ones. So I may go to as many as 5. In terms of big conferences like VMware Explorer, usually only 1 or 2 of those. There were a couple of years I did Ignite and VMworld or VMware Explorer, or Citrix Synergy and Ignite. But they're also like the VMUG user group does a big local one, a couple other vendors do. So usually in general, I'm at 4 or 5 events a year.
Awesome. Well, to piggyback off of that, Chris, because I know you talked a lot about being more of a hands-on learner. What is the significance in your mind about, around attending conferences as a professional? And then kind of like, what would your advice be to people who maybe don't go to conferences as much? Like, what's the value in those, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a hands-on learner. Always have been. Going to these conferences kind of gives you like a personal vibe, besides, just having somebody's username out there. You get like a real face and a voice to the person you're talking to. For me, it allows me to open up more, because you can sit down and maybe have a drink or something and talk to somebody and, kind of feel, how that person is, and then get more comfortable asking them questions that you may have not wanted to just ask online in a big open forum, because maybe you were scared somebody was going to shut you down or something. So getting out to these conferences and being in person and actually putting names and voices to faces is extremely important, I think. And not only that, but you're learning so much more of things that like you may have not known before. You get to really go out there and meet the experts in our fields and ask them questions to where it's like, this person's right in front of you. They need to answer it now, basically, when you're on a microphone in front of 1,400 people in a room, instead of just firing off an email to somebody at support and hoping that somebody will get back to you within 24, 48 hours.
Yeah, the in-person, yeah, just being face to face and learning that way, I think is really significant. Robert, Mason alluded to this kind of, where all of this really began in Chicago, and we got to meet with you in person. And one of the most impactful parts of that conversation for us, I know for Mason and I and Randy, our CEO, was just your passion around being in person. As Chris and Rodney were just saying as well, instead of, especially post-pandemic world, but just in general, you seem to really want to connect in person. So tell us a little bit more about that. Why is it important for you, and then just for members who are part of an online community in general, to be intentional about connecting in person?
Like you said, we had our meetup was in Chicago, was in May, and that was kind of at the tail end of the worst of the pandemic. So that just accentuated everything. And it's like, at that point, everybody just wanted to just go and do things and be places. And that kind of, even without that, it would be, I think it's essential to go to a conference. And it's not something to be intimidated by. Even if you go to a larger one, just go. Even if you're not, in the foreground and speaking and whatever, just to be there, just to, say hi and, see what people are talking about and see what's important to, other people who are not in your own world, in your own silos. And especially like the conference I went to, which was that conference, it was a more general conference as opposed to being a specific, like a Microsoft or an Adobe conference. It was for everything. So you get to see all of the things that people are doing, and how they solve problems in different ways. And these are things you just can't do online. It's just not the same. It's just to sit there and watch a person do something, or to, have them talk really excitedly about how they solved a problem, or, this is how I can do things, or this is how I can, move forward. It's indescribable. You have to just do it. You can't just, I can talk about it until I'm blue in the face. It's not the same. You just have to go out.
Yeah, a lot of what all of you are kind of hitting on is like the professional elements, as well as the personal side of it, as well as get to connect with maybe future employers or future employees and learn new things. So all of that's it's been really insightful, I think, for us to hear the three of you kind of talking about your different perspectives the last few months around why you attend conferences. Chris, jumping back to you, tell everybody a little bit specifically about your experience at Black Cat. I was going to say RSA. I know you went to RSA as well, so maybe both of that. What does that kind of look like for you on a professional skill level, especially, and then even on a personal level?
Yeah, so I attended Black Hat USA 25 in Las Vegas this year. It's my second year attending. I also did attend RSA, which is my very first year attending, and I'll be attending next year as well. I attend these conferences for a number of different reasons, but a lot of it is training and having that hands-on training. As I mentioned before, learning something online and watching videos is one thing, but when you're in a classroom with another 50 people that are all in there to learn the same thing with a computer and an instructor there, and you're going through the stuff, it really allows you to actually do it. You get to, so we do, there's PowerPoints and stuff like that when we're going through. So I did a 2-day course at Black Hat, basically on Windows security, within Active Directory and server security. And you go through and you learn how to protect it. But not only did we learn how to protect it, but we learned what holes hackers are looking for, which a lot of that stuff, like, you don't find just online, because a lot of people don't really want to share that stuff online. We don't really want people out there, invading our networks and stuff like that. But being able to understand and know and learn that from somebody really was, a lot better for me to understand how to better protect my environment. And then going to these conferences, I'm looking at what's the next big thing in IT security. What should I be looking at? Is it zero trust, VPNs or IoT, and how do we protect those things? And you know, a lot of that stuff, if you're not specifically going out there and looking for it, you don't know. But at these conferences, you're walking around and somebody you might hear doing a short presentation, or somebody might pull you over and be like, hey, have you heard about this? What are you doing for that? And it really kind of jogs your mind to be like, you know what, I actually do need to start thinking about that. And being able to get out and go to these conferences allows you just access to so much information, so many like-minded individuals where you can bounce questions off. And I've gained friends over the last several years that, you know, we continue to meet up at different conferences. And it's nice because, you know, I got Experts Exchange where I can go ahead and bounce questions off people, but sometimes it's a little bit more important where it's like, hey, I really need an answer like in like 5 minutes. You know, I'm going to call my friend Dave from Vegas and be like, hey, I know you were talking about just doing this. We were talking about rolling out this project. I'm at this like dead end. What do I need to do? And you get to make those professional relationships where it really allows you to grow in your career. And then in return, I'm able to provide, you know, information to people that that they're looking for. So it's awesome.
Yeah. And everything you just said, Chris, kind of like things I picked out of that were, you know, learning, access to information, access to people to kind of help and troubleshoot. And for Mason and I and David, as we've been working through that, like one of the big driving forces behind the ReConnect program was like taking everything that already happens on EE, access to information and content and people and friendships, and bringing that to life. And that's why it just makes so much sense for us to leverage technology conferences where those things are happening in person, to leverage that energy in those locations for our own in-person event programming. And so I think it worked well with you guys, but yeah.
Well, one more thing, because I just saw somebody post it in the chat, and it's something I was actually going to bring up before I saw it. But it's also fun. I mean, there's, you know, most of the vendors there, you know, put on a happy hour. You know, there's usually an event or something. And I feel like a lot of us in IT, like we understand we're working nights and we're working weekends and we're working holidays, because you can't just reboot a server in the middle of the day during lunch hour if you got people all over the world. So not only is it a time for us to go out and learn new stuff, but I feel like it's kind of you know, you get to go out and have a good time as well. It's not completely 100% work.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we're hoping our meetups will be for everybody as well. It's just like a fun time to hang out. Rodney, I'm going to throw a question at you that I didn't necessarily prepare you for, but I know you'll kill it. A lot of you're a really active contributor on EE, so an expert and really active in helping people. So Chris, well, really all of you were kind of speaking about that, like the way that kind of troubleshooting and happens in person at conferences in terms of being able to ask for help as well as give help. So with your perspective on EE, kind of doing that online all the time, what does that look like for you in person? Is it just as fun? Is it kind of you're going to be more of a learner? Or are you also like kind of being able to contribute in conferences?
Well, I mean, I normally go more as a learner, but you know, as I was saying with some of the sidebar conversations, you know, I may strike up a conversation with somebody that's run into a problem, and if I've had it and solved it, I would offer advice. You know, sometimes the solution is not always the same, but you might be able to point somebody in the right direction or get them to look at something they didn't think to check for. So I think it's a combination of both, but I generally go more as a learner. I like doing a lot of the hands-on labs and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Robert, what was your favorite part about ReConnect, about being kind of part of the experience, or, you know, back when all of this was kind of born? Yeah, what was your favorite part of that conference and being part of this program in general?
I like just being able to tell people about, you know, Experts Exchange, and just, you know, another way for people to reach out. You know, obviously if they're at the conference, they're reaching out there. But it's like, okay, the conference is over, we're all home. You know, what else can we do? And it just kind of, it complements, you know, the conference. You know, being able to say, okay, we're at the conference, we can chat, we can do these, we can talk to these people. Afterwards, we still have a mechanism. And so it kind of, you know, they mesh together. You know, the synergy is good.
That's a really great point. Yeah, kind of connecting, coming back online and staying connected, because people are coming from all over. Robert was very active in sending out guest passes, EE guest passes to people that he was meeting at the conference. So of course we love that. That was a gold star for Robert. Yeah, anything else, Mason? What other thoughts and questions do we have for these guys?
Well, I think that is a good transition into you guys, all three, I thought during your pilot program did a great job of sharing your experience that you had, right? With everybody on social media, and Robert, you sent the guest passes and stuff. So I'll actually ask Rodney, was that sort of an uncomfortable experience for you, or was it sort of enlightening when you were, it's not fun to sit there and take a video of yourself sometimes, you know? But I think that's something that can really help anybody with their personal brand these days. And you guys did a great job of it, but what was that like for you, trying to get out of your comfort zone, make a video of yourself, kind of tell people about what you were doing at the conference?
At first, I was a little nervous because I'm kind of an introvert. But after I did like the first one, I thought, well, this is a good idea. It really got easier as the week went on, and I actually kind of got where I like doing them, kind of, especially when some of the updates started coming out, and I could say, hey, here was today's announcement, or here was yesterday's announcement. And so I got more comfortable with it. But initially, the very first one, if you go back and look, I may have looked a little nervous in the first one versus, more towards the end of the week.
Yeah, our Twitter started blowing up towards the end of the week. It was just like every 10 minutes there's a new Rodney mentioned. But that was good. Chris, you did a great job too. I feel like you were sharing stuff every day. How do you feel like that stuff is helpful on a personal standpoint, right? So just you and your career being able to share things in that way, how is that helpful to somebody in this field?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really too much of a shy person. I'm pretty outgoing, but I've never really documented my conferences or anything like that before. And at first, when you guys had asked me to do it, I was kind of a little worried, and I was just like, I'm not really sure, what I'm supposed to talk about or what I was supposed to do. And then once I did the first one, I was like, I feel like I can do this. And I've been to some conferences since then, and I've posted pictures and videos of me being at it. And I think for me, it allows me to almost get myself out there to more people that I'm looking forward to meeting or wanting to meet, and not knowing maybe them or knowing how I'll meet them. Because all these conferences these days, along with everything in life, has a hashtag or an @ or whatever you want to do. And you hashtag that stuff and it shows up on people's feeds. So I was posting videos and people were like, hey, I saw your video, or it got reshared by the conference, or it got reshared by you guys. And I was able to make more connections than what I usually would.
Everything in life has a hashtag. I like it. Awesome. Thank you guys. Rodney, I know you and I met at the Citrix conference, I believe, when we did Citrix Synergy years ago, and we did like the first meetup around conferences where we kind of were like, oh, this will work. And then pandemic happened. And so, yeah, here we are, we're doing it again. But one thing that stood out to me from that conference, even not as a technology professional, was obviously it was really awesome to meet a lot of our members in person, even in potential members. Like I know Richard Faulkner was there. He was not part of the community at the time, but he is now. He was also part of our pilot program. But I just remember being at that conference and knowing, literally nothing about the technology that was being discussed, but I was kind of part of the different breakout sessions, and I was sitting at, those round tables where I don't know what they actually call them, but they're smaller groups. And I just remember sitting there thinking like, wow, this is what you get at like EE and at conferences, is just a seat at the table with other like-minded individuals who, the conversation started flowing. They were talking, like Chris, you said, they were, just speaking about what struggles they're having at work. And these people don't know each other at all. They just met and they're just exchanging advice, not as paid consultants, but as friends and peers and colleagues who are all at the same conference. So that kind of came to top of mind as you guys were kind of speaking about your experience. So all of that to say, we are super thankful for all three of you for helping us develop this program. We truly could not have done it without you. Especially special shout out to Robert for kind of, instigating these initial conversations. So definitely everybody who's attending, connect with these guys in the chat or on EE, ask them questions, pick their brains. But we're going to kind of dive into some more specifics. Exactly what does this mean for you? How, as members, can you get involved, whether you want to go to conferences and be sponsored or you just kind of want to attend some meetups. So we'll kind of transition here. Thank you, Chris, Robert, and Rodney. We'll pull our slides back up. I'm going to put you guys backstage. Let's see.
Don't need all the food before I get back there, boys.
Let's see if I can figure out how to do it. All right, Mace, as I'm moving them back, let's kind of dive into some of those sponsorship details, and I'll pull up the.
Yeah, you handle that. I mean, you're pulling double duty running everything and hosting. So shout out to Casey, crushing it. But yeah, I'm sure you guys have probably all been wondering, okay, this all sounds well and good. You're going to sponsor people to go to these conferences. How is it actually going to work? So hopefully I can give you all some clarity really quick on how that's going to go. There you go. Nice job. Yeah, solid. So obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we love to send everybody here, everybody on the platform to a conference, sponsor you all, right? But it doesn't really work like that, unfortunately. So as I said before, we will be sponsoring 16 people in 2023 to attend conferences. The way that we're going to determine who's going to go is through an application process. So that we're going to split up the periods of sort of when we're going to send people to conferences. So we're going to have an application period for the first part of the year and the second part of the year. The first application period for that first chunk of the year until June 30th opens today. It's open right now. The application is live in the left navigation if you're a member, and if you're not a member, there will be a way for you to reach the application. Obviously, this program is only available to members of EE, but if you're not a member, stick around. There's some ways for you to get involved, maybe become a member, and what's a better reason to join EE than this is what I think. So yeah, once again, we will be determining who we're going to send through an application process. You'll be able to access that application today until December 1st. So that's when we're going to take that chunk of applications. If you are like, oh, I want to attend a conference that's in October of 2023 or November of 2023, right? There is going to be an application period for that. You will just need to monitor your email. We'll send you a ton of communication about that. So turn your emails on. We won't send you too many, I promise. We may send you an on-site PM as well or something like that. But yeah, keep an eye out. You will have ample notice of when that application period is going to be. So yeah, well, application period starts today and December 1st. And then, okay, so that's how the logistics of it work. How are we actually sponsoring these people to go? So if you are selected, right, crazy day, you get the email, hey, you've been selected to be part of the ReConnect program. Okay, what do you get? So what we're thinking is everybody has sort of a different process of how they're going to get to a conference, right? So some people, their organization will pay for their travel. Somebody like, oh, organization pays for the ticket. So if you're chosen for this program, we'll work on a customizable package for you to attend a conference that makes sense just for your situation. So we'll sit down with you, determine what works the best for you, for your organization that you work for us, and we'll put something together. You'll also get some cool EE swag as part of your sponsorship package. So working hard on that behind the scenes, cool new polos and t-shirts going out. Chris has requested a hat because he wanted to wear a hat last time because your shirt gets dirty on day 3. So we're going to work on a hat for that swag package. I'm saying it here to hold me to it. So we will have a hat in that swag package. But yeah, so you'll receive a travel voucher or a conference ticket, whichever makes the most sense, depending on your situation. And we can go from there. And then if you're wondering, okay, maybe I want to be one of those people that hosts or partners with EE to do a meetup, right? And David's going to tell us a little bit about what that is coming up, but you will have a slightly different sponsorship package. Obviously, we'll work with you on how to do that, like we'll work with everybody else. But yeah, David, I'll stop talking about details. I want you to start telling people about the cool stuff, the meetups, the happy hours that we're going to be doing at these events.
So meetups is not some broad, crazy strategy. It's an excuse to get together and have some fun. So when we were looking at, putting together the sponsorship deals and getting people to the conferences, we also, understand that some of you are already going to be at these conferences, and some of you live in the cities that these conferences are in. And why the hell would we not have a party to go along with that? So at the end of one of the days, going along with the evenings, and maybe multiple if it goes well, we're gonna have an EE meetup with it's going to be a partnership between whoever is sponsored to go to the event and EE staff and hosting. So don't stress about having to throw together some sort of weekend wedding planning type party at on the fly. We're going to work with you guys, and we're not planning on doing anything other than having fun. You've got full days of lectures and roundtable discussions. We're going to set up some time in the evening to have some food, some drinks, good conversation, and hopefully some laughs.
There you go.
Not if
All right.
Casey's there. No laughs. She doesn't have very good jokes. But here you go. You can handle it.
Never. All right. So let me see here. More specifically around how to apply. We want everybody attending today, and even people watching this recording back, to know exactly how you can get involved, exactly what you can do. So how to apply for conference sponsorships. As of about an hour ago, this application page should be live in your left navigation. It's a tab called ReConnect, has a little globe icon. It'll take you to the application page. Definitely read all about the overview, kind of everything we've been saying today. What a sponsorship package could look like, what partnership with EE looks like if you are chosen to be a ReConnect attendee. At the bottom, you'll see an application. It's nothing crazy, just some information that we would like to learn about you. What conferences are you interested in attending? Why do you like to attend conferences? Just some basic information. From there, we will be following up with you at some point between when you apply and the end of November. So we'll be making some decisions and announcing those early December, most likely. And then share this with your friends. We want people to know about ReConnect. We want people to be able to apply. And like Mason said, even if you're not a member yet, there are still opportunities for you to get involved in the ReConnect program. So, and then for some of you who might be here and you're like, I don't care about conferences, I don't care about sponsorships, that's okay too. Keep an eye out for when we might have meetups that might be in locations near you that you can kind of come hop on over and attend the meetup. You don't have to be a part of the conference. You don't have to be a sponsorship or a ReConnect sponsorship attendee in order to come to the meetup. So just keep an eye out for that. There's definitely ways for you to get involved in our in-person events programming outside of being sponsored to attend a conference. All righty. I think we're going to move into some Q&A. I'll leave this screen up here though, in case anybody's wondering how to get to it. Again, you can scan the QR code or go to your left navigation and find ReConnect there. All right, let's pull up a little bit of Q&A here. We'll probably also address some questions that we foresee later coming up. So if there's not a ton of Q&A here, that's okay. We kind of predict which questions that we started to get from Rodney, Chris, and Robert at the beginning that we can kind of address for people. So Mason and David, one question for you, Mason. Do I get to choose which conference I go to?
No, we're randomly shipping people off. You find out the day before you leave. No, yeah, you definitely get to choose which conference you want to go to, and you'll be able to select. You'll be able to input multiple different conferences if you can't decide as well for the indecisive among us. Yeah, you definitely get to choose which conference you go to. Yes.
Awesome. I see questions here around what is core conference. I will speak to that in just a minute. David, there was a question more about how do meetups work in general. I think you covered that. What about, speak a little bit more about the partnership side of it, Mason or David? What is the partnership? If I'm interested in going to a conference and I'm interested in maybe hosting a meetup with you guys, how much of that is my responsibility? What would that look like? Maybe speak to that a little bit more, Mason, how that's going to be a partnership with EE.
Well, I mean, hopefully it's not you're there and you just have to set up, right? That's not what it's going to be like. So by partnership, we mean you are representing EE just by wearing our gear and being you out at the conference, right? And then you maybe tell somebody you walk by on the conference floor, hey, why don't you come to the meetup we're having later on tonight. I'm hosting. You get to be the host and we'll do all the work behind the scenes. That's really the idea. You get all the credit, and then we'll have David setting up everything and buying drinks for everybody is how it's going to work. But yeah, it is a partnership in that you get to be the face of EE and you get to host and invite everyone and be the giving host. And then we will set up and handle all the logistical things on the back end for you in those situations.
Yep. How does this work for non-USA members? I can kind of address that. Mason talked a little bit about in the sponsorship details, it being customizable. So we did work with Rodney, Robert, and Chris in different ways, depending on their different situation around, what does the financial sponsorship look like? Is it a travel voucher? Is it a conference ticket? So the short answer is we don't know exactly how it's going to work yet for non-USA members. That doesn't mean that non-US people can't be a part of this. So definitely still apply, whether that's a conference you're looking to come to here or not in the US. We want to, this is the first phase. And so we want to figure those things out. We want to kind of see what you're interested in and how we, again, can partner with you to provide value and yeah, make it happen. So don't shy away from the application if you don't live in the US, but the sponsorship packages will be customizable for the most part, so we can work with everybody differently. All right. We are running right on time. If you have any other questions that you didn't want to ask here, or you're just still unsure, we will be sending out follow-up emails with the event recording. We will be posting discussions on site, so you can always ask questions there or email us directly. All righty. I think we're moving right into a swag, unless I missed something. Mason, tell us about guest passes for anybody who's not an EE member and registered for this event.
Yeah, so you guys may be familiar with our guest pass program. It's our way of inviting. Robert took an advantage of it at that conference. It's our way of inviting people to EE, your friends, maybe your coworkers who you think might do great in the community. It's our way. We just send them a guest pass, and we'll invite you to be a part of our community. So what we're doing, I know we sent out this link to join this conference to a couple of our non-members that we've connected with before. So if you're one of those non-members, if you're not a member of EE and you're kind of sitting there like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not a member of this. I don't know if I want to be part of this. What we're going to do is we're going to send you a guest pass on behalf of EE, and you'll be able to join the platform for free for 30 days and just kind of connect with everybody, kind of try and make a name for yourself, meet some people on EE, figure out how this all works, and then also apply for the ReConnect program. So we will send you some communication after this event about how to sign up for your guest pass. So be checking your inbox if you're a non-member. And if you are a member and you think, hey, I got a buddy, I got a friend who would maybe do great with this, I'm going to send them a guest pass. That's okay too. It's in your left navigation, right next to the globe. So send those guest passes out and be waiting to receive one if you're not a member.
Cool. All right. So for everybody who registered or is at the event, we have 2 of these t-shirts to raffle off. This is a new design as we're kind of playing with some different swag designs and inventory. If you have any special requests, please send them to Mason, not me. He will make all of your dreams come true. Okay, let's see. T-shirts. I do actually have a bucket here with names in them. Matt Davies is our first t-shirt winner. Woohoo! I wish I could see the chat. Congratulations, Matt. We'll be sending that to you. Shuffle them up here. All right, just put Matt's back in there. KH, not my initials, K-A-Y-H. All right, I think I know Kay. Kay is actually a new member, so that's really exciting. We'll send you some swag. Congratulations. Okay, this last raffle, the one that we've been kind of hinting at, is our biggest giveaway. I'll speak a little bit to Core Conference for those of you who might not know what it is. Years and years ago, far before my time, EE's kind of in-person event conference was out in California, I believe. And we announced at Rebirth that we are bringing that back for 2023. And so we are following through on that, and we are in the weeds with planning that right now. So without giving away too many details that are not completely nailed down yet, it'll be in the latter half of 2023. No, we'll announce dates and we'll be sending out invites to all of our members for that here in the very near future. But today, in the spirit of conference sponsorships, we are raffling off a travel voucher to the Core Conference. So whoever wins this raffle is going to receive, we'll work with you on what that looks like where you're from, but a travel voucher to the Core Conference, and we will be sending you the details for that, which is exciting. So you will be officially our very first exclusive early bird invite to the Core Conference. So let's see. Mason or David, you could drum roll. It's okay. Bob Flisser. We know Bob.
Oh,
Fun. Congrats, Bob. I'm not sure if he's here. I wish we had a better system for doing that, but Bob, we would love to see you at Core Conference. And so we will be working with you on what a travel voucher looks like to help partner with you to get you there. So, and for everybody else, we're really excited to start announcing more Core Conference details in the very near future. I did see Gerwin ask in the chat for a specific date for that. So we'll be looking at all of that and sending out that information. All right. So what's coming up next in the E community? Thank you everybody for joining today. Hang with us here just for a minute more. So Expert Awards and the EE mobile app. Talk to us about the awards, Mason, coming up in January. It'll be the 2022 awards in January of 2023.
confuses me. I'm sorry. If you see a messed up email with the date on there, it's my fault and I'll take responsibility for it. So sorry. But the expert awards are going to be super exciting. I think what we discovered last year was that having an event, a live event around the awards was an awesome time. I think everybody who got to attend that last year had a great time. The chat was blowing up. So we are going to do that again this year. We're going to try and do it bigger and better than we even did last year. So that is coming in January 2023. We'll maybe work on a way to get hats involved with that as well. I'm seeing a lot of hat talk in the chat. So maybe we'll work on, you get a hat or something like that. We'll do an MVE hat or something like that, which reminds me, you need to vote for MVE. So if you see the box that says nominate someone for an MVE, if you haven't done that, go ahead and do that. There's a lot of great people who deserve that award. So if you think you know somebody specific, go ahead and nominate them. But yeah, Expert Awards, January 2023, going to be a live event. So stay tuned for that.
What about the EE mobile app, David? This is something that we actually did announce at Rebirth way back in January. So I think we're very proud to say that we're getting close.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since we've talked about the app. Imagine some people were wondering if we were still doing it. Yes, the dev team has been hard at work this year, getting all the ins and outs put together and making sure that it's going to be a good experience and a significant, massive, huge improvement on the current EE mobile app. We're expecting to see it early next year, available for all your mobile devices, so you can EE wherever you go. And so that you are capable of keeping up with everything that's going on without having to be at home on the PC.
I mean, I think in kind of the keeping consistent with wanting to bring our community to life in new ways and connect people, it's been really important to us that we make connecting with members a lot easier in a lot of different ways. You know, that's what we're doing with all of the platform updates. That's our goal. But finally bringing that to an app where it's easy to connect with somebody on the go, like we might all do with Slack with our moderators and whatnot. We're really looking forward to that and seeing how that brings the community to life in new ways. So awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining. We will be following up again with a recap email, just what is ReConnect and how you can get involved, a recording of this event, and then kind of directing everybody to the application page, as well as, you know, just listening out for communications around meetups and in-person events coming. So thank you for being involved. Thanks for chatting, even though I can't see it. But thank you for being here, and we will see you soon.